Hi, this is Sherry from the blog OurLifeHomeschooling.com, where I share homeschooling encouragement for everyday moms. We have come to the end of our school year, and I'm excited to put that behind us, and we're in summer mode here. We're getting ready to just move on to some other things. But before we wrap up last year, I wanted to do a quick video just talking about how you can end your homeschool year positively. I've made some mistakes in how I've ended my years in the past. And I'm going to share with you what I have learned from those and how I have changed some things so that we can end our homeschool year on a positive note. If you want to be able to start your next school year with a positive attitude, if you want the kids to be excited about starting school next year in the fall, then it's really, really important that you end this school year on a positive note. And I've made mistakes in the past where we have just kind of fizzled out and haven't really ended very well. But how you end your school year this year sets the precedent for what it's going to be like to start school next year. So it's really important, I think, to end on a positive note. I have 4 tips that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video on how you can end your homeschool year positively. The first tip is to pick an end date and stick to it. Like I said, I have made the mistake in previous years of just kind of crawling to the finish line, fizzling out at the end. You know, maybe just one day saying, okay, I'm tired, let's not do school today. We'll pick it up tomorrow and then we'll finish, we'll get the rest. We're almost to the end, and never really giving them an end date. I always made sure I had my days in, but not really giving them a finish time. And the mistake in that is that it really sets a precedent for the next year. And kids lose their motivation when they don't have an end date. In fact, adults lose their motivation. I lost my motivation when I didn't have an end date in mind. So pick a last day and stick to it no matter what. You'll find, as I did, that your kids get motivated when they know that they're getting to the end. Sometimes they even see, oh, I have this to get done, and it'll motivate them. Oh, I want to get this done before the school year's over. It just is so much more motivating for mom and for the kids if you can pick a last date, stick to it, and just kind of make that a final thing. And so you can move on to something else. I've found that it's really helpful. I know how tiring it is at the end and how you can just get a little burnout, but I really suggest that you pick a final day and stick to it. The second tip is to review and remember your year. This can be as easy as just a conversation. I really like to take this time to sit individually with my kids. Often we will just pull out their books for the year and review. Just look back at what they did. Go over what they covered in math. And, a lot of times, usually with each year, they have learned a new skill in math. Maybe they've learned double-digit multiplication, or maybe they've learned fractions this year. Something new usually happens each year in math, maybe a couple things. And it's helpful for them to see that. Look over through their writing books. Look at their handwriting at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, and help them to see how much they've improved. I think it's great for them it gives them some confidence to be able to look at what they've done and how much they've improved over the year. Review and remember can be a simple conversation, but I think when you sit down to talk individually with them and go over all the things that they've learned, they will begin to see how much they've covered, and it will really encourage them. If you've had a year, I know sometimes I've had years where we get to the end and I think, did we really do that much this year? Am I going to have a lot to put in their portfolio? But then when we review and we talk about everything, it all comes back, and things that we did back in September and October, I had kind of forgotten about. One of the best ways to review and remember is to make a portfolio. I have a whole post on how we make a homeschool portfolio on my blog, OurLifeHomeschooling.com. I will also link it in this video. we do a very simple homeschool portfolio. It's something you can put together in one day, or you can slowly put together throughout the year if you like that. But we keep it very simple so that it's manageable and not overwhelming. I have in the past put together our portfolios in 1 or 2 days at the end of the year, and it's a good way to wrap it up. When I do a portfolio with our kids, it's my time to sit down with them individually, and we remember things like performances that we attended together, programs that they were in, co-op field trips, projects that they may have completed for our co-op spring program, hobbies. Maybe they learned to crochet, maybe they learned to fish that year, anything new that they learned to pick up, or if there's something that they made, a project that they made, science experiments that they did together. What was their favorite topic that we learned together in science? What were some of their favorite books that they read on their own? What were favorite books that you read to them? I also like to take a chance when we sit down to review and remember in their portfolio to just ask them some general questions, to describe themselves. What's your favorite thing to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? What trip did we take this year that was your absolute favorite? What memories do you have? Just ask them and write a little summary in the beginning of their portfolio. I write a summary of just who they are for that year. Looking back and reviewing and remembering will encourage them, and it will encourage you as a mom to think and realize how much you've covered. You can easily sometimes just wonder, oh, how much did we do? But when you take the time to sit down and go over it, you may be surprised to find how much you really did do that you just kind of forget about over time. The third tip is to celebrate your homeschool year. This is probably going to look different for every family, and it might look different from year to year, but take a day or take an afternoon or a morning, take some time to do something that is celebrating your year, something that's completely different that you don't normally do. Maybe go out for ice cream, go out for breakfast, make a big special breakfast. Our family this year went out for breakfast, and it was so fun. We just really enjoyed going out and walking around the town after breakfast and shopping. Do something completely different. Have a campfire outside or go camping out in your own backyard overnight. You can take a day trip somewhere. There's lots of things you can do if you want to put more planning and effort into it and make a special big trip at the end of the year. That's great, but it doesn't have to be. It can be just simple, something that marks the end of your year. So don't get overwhelmed trying to plan this big party or end of the year thing. If you like that, that's great. That is often overwhelming to me. To me, doing something simple like going out for ice cream is still special, and it marks the end of the year, and it kind of closes that final chapter for them. The fourth tip I would have is to take a complete break. Stepping away from your academic work, your book work, is going to just give them the time to want to be creative again, time to think, time to process. We all get tired after we're spending so much time doing one particular thing, and stepping away from it a little bit can just rejuvenate and energize us. And I think that's what we all need at the end of a school year. The one thing that we do continue doing in the summer is I continue reading aloud to my kids. Most days, not necessarily every day. That's just something we all enjoy. Usually after lunch, we'll sit and read together. That is one thing that we continue, but I think it's so helpful to take a complete break and to do something different. Truthfully, I feel like the majority of our academic book work happens between January and March. Of course, we're doing academic work throughout the year, but we get twice as much done during that time. In the summer, I feel like we are learning as much, sometimes more. It's just a different type of learning. Where they're learning to swim. We do a lot of gardening and preserving our own food. So that's a brand new skill for them. Kids go to camp. Our older kids are working. There's just a lot of times there are projects that some sewing projects that I wanted to try with the girls, or sometimes we see things that we get excited about, ideas we have. My kids get very inspired in summer to try new things and to to do some of those things that we don't always have time to do in the busyness of a school year with all that we have going on with sports and co-op and other things. So I truthfully feel like we learn as much, if not more, in the summer. It's just a different kind of learning. And so that's why I think it's really important to just take a complete break. So these are just some tips that I have for helping you to end your homeschool year positively. I love hearing from other homeschool moms. What do you do to end your year on a positive note? And what mistakes have you made that you've learned from over the years that help you to finish strong? If you get a chance, leave a comment. I love hearing from you. Also, if you like the encouragement that you get from my weekly videos or on my blog, you can like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, or even more, you can go onto the blog and subscribe. I send out a weekly email of all the latest posts and videos that I am putting on the blog. So thanks for stopping by and have a great week.